Hi everyone, welcome to this video lecture. Myself M. Krishna, working as assistant professor in Tripoli department, St. Peter's Engineering College. In this video lecture, I am going to explain AC circuit analysis, the outlines that I would like to take are series and parallel circuits, measuring currents in series and parallel circuits, measuring voltages in series and parallel circuits, simple problems and complex problems, basic circuits we are considering, fundamentals of AC circuits, measuring currents and voltages for RLC separately. We are connecting the RL and C separately in the networks. Phasor diagrams for RLC networks. Lastly, the resonant frequency and its problems. We'll see them one by one. So these are the two circuits, very simple circuits, where we could able to see this is a series circuit and this is a parallel circuit. There is only one path here. This is a battery. You can say this is a positive terminal, this is a negative terminal of battery. Then this supplies the electricity to the bulbs which are connected in series like this. The current is coming like this, having a path, closed path through the three bulbs. So three bulbs are sharing the same amount of current. Here we can see, we can say this is a parallel circuit, means, and here the battery supplying the power to the three bulbs, but these three are connected in parallel manner. So when I am thinking about this is the positive terminal of the battery, this is the negative terminal of the battery. This supplies the power like this. One node here. For this node we are connecting one bulb, and then one more node is here connecting one more bulb. And current is coming like this, having a closed path, and the current is flowing like this and through the last bulb and coming back like this. Means what? The total current which is supplied by the battery is going to be dividing into three bulbs. Means we can say I is equal to three currents, I1, I2, I3. Means that I would like to explain one concept here, that is, here the KVL, here the KCL. When we see this is suppose our battery is able to supply 12 volt for the circuit. Now I can say very simply, this is going to be having voltage drop 4 volt. The second one is also having the 4 volt voltage drop, and third one is also having the 4 volt voltage drop. Means these are the three identical bulbs that you are using in ratings. Means what? The battery is supplying the 12 volt and the bulbs, because of identical ratings, and they are going to be having the voltage drop 4 volt each. 4 plus 4 will become 12 volt, which is equal to the battery is going to be supplied. Here is what happened. The KCL is applying to the parallel circuit. Means the total current, let us say 10 amp current, that is going to be supplying to the circuit. This 10 amp current is going to be dividing into I1, I2, I3 to three bulbs which we connected here in parallel manner. For suppose these three are identical bulbs, then the current is dividing into three parts equally, and they share the current equally. Like that we can apply the Kirchhoff laws to these simple circuit to solve them. If they ask to find out the voltage drop across the bulb or current through the bulb and power utilized by the consumed by the bulbs also to be calculated. very easy. These are the series circuits. You can able to see this diagram. This is connecting only one bulb to the battery, connecting two bulbs to the battery, and in the third case is three bulbs. Like that we connected. And let us see this. We are going to measuring the electric current in amp. Basically, we are using an ammeter to measure the electric current in the circuit. We are connecting that ammeter in the circuit series manner, and this is the symbol of current in ampere. And there we are using one multimeter. In multimeter we are keeping the variable knob at current position and ampere position, and keeping these terminals as same as to measure the current. It's very easy. Nowadays we are doing this for experiment to find out the current in the circuits. Measuring current. Let us see one example. Here, this is a series circuit. This is a parallel circuit. But suppose two bulbs are connected in series manner. To know how much amount the current is flowing through the circuit is going to be measured by using one ammeter here. And here also same thing. There are two bulbs are connected here. What is the amount of current flowing through what is the amount of current which is going to be supplied by the source, also measured with the help of ammeter in parallel circuit also. It is connected in series manner in the circuit. Measuring voltage. The same multimeter can be used to measure the voltage in volt. Here we can see the voltmeter symbol. We are keeping this variable knob at the voltage levels, and when we are going to find out the DC values, we have to keep at DC position, or if it is AC, at AC position. It is very important precaution to be taken place. And the terminals also, this red wire and black wire must be connected in such a way that to measure the voltage values. And the voltmeter must be connected in parallel in the circuit to measure the voltage values. For example, there again we are taking two circuits. One is parallel circuit, the other one is this is a series circuit and this is parallel circuit. See, the two bulbs are connected in series manner. Suppose we want to find out the voltage drop across this bulb only, then immediately we have to connect one voltmeter across the bulb. Then immediately we can get the voltage drop across that particular bulb. Here also same thing. Though we are connecting these two bulbs in parallel, suppose for example we want to find out the voltage drop across this bulb. We can able to find out this using the voltmeter when it is connected in parallel to the bulb. But the important thing is that these three are in parallel, means in the parallel circuit the current is same. For example, the battery is supplying 12 volt voltage to the circuit, means that there is a voltage drop across, means the voltage across this bulb and the voltage across this bulb, two bulbs must be same as the voltage maintained by the battery, 12 volt. If you are keeping on voltmeter across this bulb or this bulb, you can able to see the same voltage values as same as the battery. And you can see this here 3 ammeters. Instead of using 1 ammeter, we are keeping 3 ammeters to check whether the current values are going to be changing in series circuit or the same. And one thing is that to be remember, in the series circuit the current won't be changed, means that we are connecting here 2 bulbs. So in these 2 bulbs the current going through them is same, means that the ammeter 1, ammeter 2, ammeter 3 are giving the same values, not other than the any single value. Means, for example, the current in the circuit is 5 amp. Means this ammeter reading the 5 amp. And after the bulb, we are connecting one more ammeter here. The same 5 amp, the ammeter 2 also reading. The same manner, after this bulb, we are keeping one more ammeter here. This is also reading the same 5 amp value. That is the meaning of series circuit. Parallel circuit means, here also same thing, look at this. This is 2 amp. This is 2 amp that is supplying by the battery. And here also 2 amp that we are getting back to the battery. And here the two bulbs are connected. These two bulbs are having the same ratings, equal identified bulbs, and having the same ratings. Thereby, these two are going to be consuming the same amount of current, 1 amp and 1 amp. Means what? When you apply the KCL here, automatically we can able to get the idea that 2 amp is going to be divided into 1 amp and 1 amp, and this 2 amp is coming back to the battery back. The same thing we can explain in case of using voltmeters. Here is the same thing. Suppose our battery is able to supply 10 volt voltage, then when you keep one voltmeter here, other voltmeter is across the second bulb. As I am saying, these two bulbs are having the same ratings. Means that the voltage drop across the first bulb will be the 5 volt. The voltage drop across the second bulb will also to be 5 volt. These two 5 and 5 are going to be added and getting equal to the supplied voltage 10 volt. Here is what happened. As I said, in the parallel circuit, the voltages are same. Whatever the battery voltage is there, that the voltage is available across the two bulbs. Even though you are keeping one voltmeter across two bulbs, you can able to find measure the same value as same as the battery. For example, in this case, the battery is supplying 10 volt. Then the voltage across this bulb is also 10 volt, and voltage across this bulb is also 10 volt. It is a simple series circuit, and we are applying KVL. We can say KVL here. 3 volt is going to be supplied to the circuit, and these two are identical rated bulbs. Then the voltage across the first bulb will be 1.5, voltage across second bulb will be 1.5. These two are going to be added to get the 3 volt. In the parallel circuit, you can able to see this. The voltage won't be changed here. The battery is going to be supplying 3 volt, and the voltage across bulb 1 is also 3 volt. Voltage across bulb 2 is also 3 volt. Some basic idea about this. Basically, our electric circuits having the three main parts. One is a source of energy, the other one is a closed path, and last one is a device which is uses the energy. We can able to see this in the diagram itself. This is a source of energy. We are using one battery here for the source of energy, and we are going to having the closed path to flow the current. And there is one application, means a device which uses the energy supplied by the battery. So these three are very important for the circuit. We can say the current definition here. The current is defined as the rate at which the charge flows through the surface. That means the charge per seconds. The unit for current is ampere. The pioneer scientist name is used for units of current. The current is in the same direction as the flow of positive charge. You can able to see here in the diagram. This is the source of energy, and there is a resistive load. This is the current. Here the I indicating the current value and its magnitude. There are two types of current sources that we have. One is a DC current source, the other one is AC current source. Look at the slide, look at the diagrams which we have in the slide carefully, and these two slides regarding to the DC current sources, and below two are related to the AC current sources. And here we have one battery we are using, because the battery can store the electrical energy in terms of DC values. There is no chance to store the AC, so whatever the AC is generated must be utilized. Okay, then when we see the characteristics between time and current, so the DC value is always independent of time variations, whether the time is 0 seconds, whether the time is 20 seconds, whether the time is 1 hour or 24 hours, whatever it may be, the DC value won't be changed. It is maintaining its value constantly. Whenever we see this AC voltage, AC current source we are applying here, then look at this waveform signal. It's a sinusoidal signal, you can say alternating quantity, having one positive half cycle, one negative half cycle. The one positive half cycle, one negative half cycle combinedly called as a one full cycle, this period, and this entire period of this cycle will become one time period. Like that, here in this diagram you can able to see two full cycles and one half cycle. 2.5 cycles are available in the cycle, and we can say for the positive half cycle we are connecting here normally, as we discussed the basic things for the circuit. There must be three. One is a source of energy, the other one is a closed path must be there, the last one is application or the device which uses the energy. Means three are presented, and the positive half cycle, when the AC is applying, positive half cycle is going on, and the current direction is like this. If the negative half cycle comes, automatically the direction of current is reversed. Like that, the bulb carrying the currents in two directions. These are the some ways to wire circuits, as we seen earlier at starting. When we say the connection is in series manner, one after another we are connecting bulbs, one after another. When we connect like this is a series connection. If between a set of junctions and parallel to each other, when we connect like this we can call parallel connection. Here in this case the current is same, here in this case voltage is same. Please remember these 2 points. Some symbols of electrical sources and electrical passive elements you can able to see here. This is a DC voltage source or battery. When you have more number of turns, this is a lengthy line, lengthy horizontal line. This is a short line. This lengthy horizontal line indicating the positive terminal, this short line indicating the negative terminal. Here is the resistor symbol. We are very familiar about it. And this is a DC voltmeter or a DC ammeter, and this is a switch, the battery symbol, and bulb. We'll see one example where we are connecting the resistor in parallel. So these are the general things which we are discussing in resistances connections. Resistance can be connected in two different manners. One is in series manner, some other one is parallel manner. Here in this problem we can able to see three resistors are connected in parallel manner across one battery 8 volt. This is 5 ohm, this is 7 ohm, 9 ohm. The question here is what is the total resistance of the circuit? As we know that whenever the resistors are connected in parallel, this is the equation to be used. 1 upon R total, Rp is equal to 1 upon R1, 1 upon R2, 1 upon R3. Like that, when we calculate will get 2.2 ohm here. And from this, once we know the total resistance in the circuit, we can able to find out the total current flowing through the circuit. So that is when we know this 8 volt voltage and total resistance, applying ohms law to get the current I, that is 3.64 ampere. And here they asked what is the voltage across each resistor. As we know, this is a parallel circuit and connected across the 8 volt, and every resistor is maintaining the 8 volt voltage across each resistance. And finally, what is the current drop across each resistance? Apply here also same Ohm's law. We know that 3.64 current, and we know that the voltage here. Immediately we can able to find out the what is the current across this, because these three are connected in parallel manner. The total current which is entering into this node is going to be divided into 3 parts. Here we have to apply one KCL to find out the current flowing through each resistances. According to that KCL, we can able to find out that the current flowing through 5 ohm resistor is 1.6 amp, current flowing through 7 ohm resistance is 1.14 amp, current flowing through 9 ohm will become 0.90 ampere. Like that we have to calculate the current values, voltage values, total resistance values when the parallel circuit is given. And we'll see one more problem where the resistance connected in series and parallel combination. Here is the one circuit. Okay, so we are going to reducing this by using circuit simplifications. When these two are connected in parallel manner, then automatically this value will become smaller by using 1 by R is equal to 1 by R1 plus 1 by R2, like that. You can able to find out this easily. And finally, we have to find out the total resistance of the circuit, like 113.31. And everything is calculated very easily. The powers and the currents, whatever may be there in the circuit, using Ohm's law, KVL, KCL, and 2 more laws called voltage division rule, current division rule. These 5 laws are using for simplifying the electrical networks very easily. And coming to alternating currents, so far we discussed about the DC currents. Now we will step into alternating currents. We'll look at that. An alternating current is such as that produced by a generator, has no direction in the sense that the direct current has the magnitudes vary sinusoidally with the time is given by. It's very simple to understand here. There we can see this is the voltage waveform, higher magnitude 1 and black in color, and this is the current waveform, and this is time given on x-axis. These are the magnitudes. Means what? Alternating currents are having the positive half cycle, negative half cycle. Here we can able to see very easily that one method is that phasor diagrams. Here we are using one phasor method, and the rotation of phasor we are considering into analysis. Here we can say initially the phasor is here at 0 position, and it is having 30 degrees, 45 degrees, 60 degrees, and having the 90 degrees like this. After that some angle, this is 180 degrees angle, then this is 270, and this one is 270. Like that we have entirely is dividing into some parts and having the some angles. This is 0 and 360 degrees, this is 180, this is 90, this is 270. Like that we have the divisions. When you draw the projections from these end points towards this side, towards right, and joining those points, we definitely get the one sinusoidal waveform. So this is 45 angle, this is 90 angle, this is 135, 180, 270, 360. So first suppose this is 135 angle, 135. When we project the horizontal line, when we draw the horizontal line from this end, this is 135 degrees line, 135 the phasor at the 135 degrees. When we draw one line, horizontal line upon to the characteristics, we are getting one pointer here. Like that we are getting some pointers. When we join all these pointers, we will get one sinusoidal wave using the phasor values. See, it's very easy to understand that the we are using one resistive network. Resistance is alone connected in the circuit and supplied by one AC source. Here we can able to see the angle between voltage and current which is there for the resistance. This is the value we can see for the voltage which is across the resistance, and the Imax is the current, maximum current flowing through the resistance, and both of them are in phase. And we can say this circuit is a DC circuit because the voltage and current having the zero phase angle, hence the cos angle between voltage and current is always maintaining the unity power factor. Hence we can call this circuit as DC circuit. When we see the inductor or inductance, there we know that the inductor having one property, that it doesn't allow the sudden change in current. That's why initially whenever the time is 0, it doesn't allow the sudden change in current. That's why you are getting current wave like this till the supply is available. If the supply is not available, the current is going to be reducing here from this point. Means what? It is not only avoiding this increment in the change in the current, it is also used to store the energy in the form of magnetic field. Whenever the supply is available, it stores the energy. Whenever the supply is not available, it becomes a source for the connector circuit. And here we should remember one thing, that as I said, it doesn't allow the sudden change in current. The voltage wave comes first, then after that the current wave comes. Means the current always lagging behind the voltage with some angle. Due to that, we can say there existing angle between voltage and current. Due to that, there is a change, means a difference in the cosine angles called power factor. Power factor varies from 1 to 0 in between based on the inductance value. And when you go for the practical inductors, every time the practical inductors having some resistance. Due to that, the value almost less than 1 value, and it is in between the 0. If it is a pure inductor, we can say directly, and it is always maintaining 90 degrees phase angle between voltage and current. Thereby cosine angle is always maintaining 0. We can say lagging values. Same thing as I said earlier. Here we can able to see this is the current wave and this is voltage wave. Because of it doesn't allow the sudden change in current, it comes later after the voltage waveform. Here we can say the reactance may be defined as the non-resistive opposition to the flow of AC current. The other inductance, apart from the inductance, when we take the inductance in terms of frequency, it will become inductive reactance. That's what we call XL. XL is equal to 2 pi FL. Here the F indicates the supply frequency. We can see this here one example for inductive circuit. A coil having an inductance of 0.6 Henry is connected to a 120 volt 60 Hz AC source. Neglecting resistance means we are neglecting the practical resistance value. What is the effective current through the coil? So there we have to find out the XL value first. As I said, it's a inductive reactance, that is XL equal to 2 pi FL. 2 pi is the constant value, F is given in the data 60 Hz, L is also given in the data 0.6 Henry. Once you substitute all these values, we'll get a 226 ohm. With that, it's very easy to get the current values by applying the Ohm's law. That is what we call V is equal to IXL. From that we can write I equal to V by XL. Due to that we are getting the current value is 0.531 ampere. Now we'll see the capacitance. When we it is exactly opposite to the inductance concept. Here is current values are going to be, here we are taking the voltage values other than the current values. The same thing happening here. Whenever the supply is available, then the capacitor starts to store the energy and build up the voltage across it. Whenever the supply is not available, it's going to be discharging its current voltage values and becoming the values like this. And we can able to see the phasor diagram here also. If it is a pure capacitor, always it is maintaining 90 degrees between the current and voltage values, and always 90 degrees, and cosine angle is always 0. Leading we can call that, because here the current value is leading the voltage. And the frequency and AC circuits. Here we can able to see the frequency value. Resistance is always independent of the frequency. It is not affected by the frequency. Thereby, when we see the graph between resistance and frequency values, even though you are maintaining you are going from 0 to higher values of frequency, the resistance won't change. When you see the inductive reactance, XL varies directly with frequency as expected. That the E is directly proportional to di by dt, as we know that E is equal to L di by dt. Based on that, we can able to say there is a relation between the frequency and XL is directly proportional. Due to that, what happened? It is having a straight line passing through the origin. But here in the case capacitance, it is inversely proportional to the frequency, the capacitive reactance. Thereby, for the 0 values of frequency, it is maintaining higher values. See this curve, at 0 position, it is having the infinite values. At some frequency value, it is maintaining some values. Like that, it is coming from higher values to the lower values when you increase the frequency value from 0 to maximum values. Now, so far we discussed the RLC separately one by one. Now we are connecting all together and placed in one circuit in series manner like this. So this is resistance, inductance, capacitance, and there we have one AC source. We are connecting like this, and there is one ammeter we are keeping to find out the measuring the current flowing through the device. So there we are using 3 voltmeters across every element which we connected in the circuit. Here also same thing, because of placing all the 3 elements in the circuit in series, we are going to analyzing the same circuit using the phasor orientation in 360 degrees. We can able to see that this is a VR phasor, this is a VL phasor, this is VC phasor. This VL phasor is always bending with respect to 90 degrees with respect to VR. This is the leading side and this is lagging side. VC is always lagging 90 degrees. When we draw the horizontal lines from this point, you can able to see this. This is going to be joined here and this is going to be joined here. The joining points are going to be taking a trajectory. Like that, we are getting the 3 different voltage waves which we can see in the series circuit when we apply the AC voltage. Here we can able to see the phasor diagrams also, as we discussed in the previous slide. And when compared with the source voltage, the vector sum of all voltage drops according to KVL must be equal to the source value. This phasor diagram indicating that when we see this is VR, this is VL minus VC, and the vector sum of these two will be source voltage. I will see the total source voltage as we have in the diagram. Total voltage will be calculated based on the KVL equation. Here we can able to see that when we want to find out the angle between this one is also can be find out by using the VL minus VC upon VR. And here is some equations based on the Ohm's law, and as we know Ohm's law equation is V total is equal to IZ, where Z is equal to under root R square plus XL minus XC upon square under root. Then finally we will see the impedance in a AC circuit. Impedance, as we seen in the last slide, this is the impedance, and we have one impedance triangle also. It's a right angle triangle, and one angle is 90 degrees, other angle is having the phi. We call that as the impedance angle. The impedance is the combined opposition to AC current consisting of both resistance and inductive reactance. Here we are taking one example to explain impedance values there in the circuits. A 60 ohm resistor, a 0.5 Henry inductor, and a 8 microfarad capacitor are connected in series. This is a LRC circuit, and with a 120 volt 68 AC source is given here. They ask to calculate the impedance for this circuit. Here we have to find out one by one. XL has to be find out, XC has to be find out. Then after that, keeping in Z equation, then immediately we'll get value is 122 ohm. A very simple calculation part. This indicating here very easily. There is one ammeter, and there is a source 60 Hz, 60 ohm, and 0.5 Henry like that given it. And last topic in this lecture is resonant frequency. Resonant frequency is a very important concept which is having more applications in electronics field, and we can say the applications are more for the resonant circuits in telecommunication systems, most of the cases to synchronize the voices, all these things. And we can say resonant condition, the frequency where the it occurs, the resonant condition is nothing but this is resonant frequency. Resonant condition means the impedance of the circuit is going to be minimum, and the current which is going in that time is maximum. Indirectly saying that when we connect RLC in series across AC source, then when we say the inductive reactance is equal to the capacitive reactance, the resonance condition occurs, and from that resonant condition we can able to find out this voltage, this resonant frequency equation. This is FR equal to 1 upon 2 pi LC, 2 pi root LC. This is Z equal to under root R square plus XL minus XC whole square, which is equal to R only. This we can say in the series circuit at a resonance condition, the impedance value is only R. It means that this resonant condition, the circuit behavior is a resistive nature and having the unity power factor. Before that it is having the capacitive nature and having the leading power factor. After the resonant condition it is having the inductive nature and having the leading power, lagging power factor, like that. To here the one problem is given to find out the resonant frequency, and here we can able to see this. This is a FR equal to 1 upon 2 pi under root LC, and from that these values are given in the equation. You can able to easily find out this, and from that we can say resonant FR equal to 79.6 Hz. At resonant frequency there is a zero reactance, means inductive reactance and capacitive reactance both are get cancelled each other, thereby there is no reactance effect. Hence you can call phase angle of 0, means DC circuit. In case of resistance, we know that the angle between voltage and current is 0, hence the cosine angle between voltage and current always maintaining the unity value. This is the power in AC circuit. We already discussed this one in first video, but here also we have to discuss more about this power. Here no power is consumed by inductance or capacitance because they are storing elements, whereas the power is consumed by the resistor because the resistance is a heat dissipating element. The power is going to be dissipated in the form of heat. Thus the power is a function of the component of the impedance along with the resistance. In terms of AC voltage, there exist three powers, as I said, and we have one power triangular and for right angular triangular, applying the Pythagoras theorem for that to find out the three powers, and from that three power triangle also we can able to find out the power factor angle. The power factor is also defining in terms of powers, and it is defined as the ratio of active power to the apparent power. When you use a power triangle, it's very easy to find out the power factor cos phi. Here also one more example to find out the power factor, and the same problem is repeating here. The only option here is we have to identify which angle is the given in the question becoming will power factor. What is the average power loss for the previous example? Previous example means we have already seen that is V equal to 20 volt, we have 120 volt, phi equal to 60.5 degrees. The current flowing in the circuit is 90.5 ampere and R is given as 60 ohm. Like that the values are given. Here we could able to find out the power loss I square R. Average power is 0.4191 wattage. The power factor is will become cos phi, where the phi is equal to 60.5, that will become 0.492 lagging, because it is RL circuit. The inductance have effect is more in the circuit, that's why the power factor is always lagging. If the higher the power factor, the more efficiency is there in the circuit, and it is very useful to the AC power. Thank you very much for this watching this video.